guys? Hope everybody is having a good day today. I know I definitely am. I just went to this sub place of my boy Logan, actually, the kid from the first job video. Really, really good subs. Can't wait to tell you guys about that later on in the video. So stick around toward the end. I'll tell you guys about this sub place and how good it is. Because why not, right? We can advertise shit here, can't we? Alright, anyway, let's get right into it. So this story takes place back in summer of 2019. I was 19 at the time, obviously, since I'm 19 in 2019, and it was a pretty normal summer. At the time, I was working at a hardware store. I had just completed my first year of community college. It was nice though. Like I enjoyed not having to go back to school the next year for technically the second time since the summer before then was going into college, but it felt nice still knowing, oh, I'm going back to college when summer's over, not school or not high school. It felt great. So like I said, I worked at this hardware store with a bunch of interesting characters to say the least. There were quite a few interesting ones, I must say. I got plenty of videos in the vault about all these random ass motherfuckers. But today's highlight is about this kid I worked with. We're just gonna call him Drew. Now, Drew had a lot of anger issues. Like he had very, very bad anger issues. So I'll tell a little backstory just so you guys can see how bad it was. So there'd be times where he'd crash out like on his girl, on his grandparents, on his mom, like whoever it was. Like he'd always be crashing out on somebody for like the stupidest fucking shit. So there was one time I was hanging out with him. Like he didn't drive, so he was like, "Yo, can you bring me to Walmart real quick? I'm trying to grab some Hot Wheels." Yeah, he was mad obsessed with Hot Wheels for some reason. I don't know why, but he just fucking was. I have no idea why. But anyway, I'm like, "Yeah, bro, I got you. Are you gonna buy some?" And then he was like, maybe, yeah. I'm gonna see if my grandparents can give me some money for them. I'm like, wait, your grandparents buy you toys and shit? And he's like, yeah, bro, it's great. I'm like, bro, like, don't you work though, dude? Like, you literally work with me, bro. Like, I know you got money to buy that on your own. And he's like, yeah, but like, I'm trying to use that for video games. Since, oh yeah, he was really, really big on video games too, which I have a whole other video about playing video games with him, what that was like. But anyway, I bring him to Walmart, and he goes into the Hot Wheels section, and sure enough, he gets on his phone, he calls his grandmother, and then he's like, "Oh, Nana, can you Venmo me money for whatever? Yeah, Hot Wheels, like 20, 30 bucks." And right when he said like 20, 30 bucks, I was like, bro, like, how many Hot Wheels are you gonna get in one visit? They're like $1 each. Just grab a couple. I saw your wallet, bro. Like, you have a few ones in there. Just buy a few and just save your money, dude. Like, don't have your grandmother buy your shit, bro. Like, come on. And then he was like, dude, just let me do the talking. So I'm like, okay, okay. So his grandmother tells him no, though, which, should be expected if you ask me. Like I said, the motherfucker at the time was like 21, 22. I forget how old he was. He was a couple years older than me. But his grandmother tells him no, and he's like freaking the fuck out. Like he's yelling on the phone. And mind you, we're inside of the Walmart. It's not like we're in my car or anything. Even then, I'd be still kind of freaked out. But no, we're inside of this Walmart, and he's out here just yelling at his grandmother. He's like, "What the fuck? I want the fucking Hot Wheels. Just send me at least $10. Like, come on." And I try to tell him, like, Drew, you literally have cash in your wallet. Like, you literally have a bunch of ones. I literally saw them. Then he was like, "Oh, I was gonna buy you food with that, bro." I'm like, "Bro, I can pay for my own food. I appreciate it, but I can pay for my own food." But then he just proceeds to just bitch his grandmother out on the phone. He's like, "If you don't fucking send me at least $10, I'm gonna be so pissed off. I'm not gonna get my hair cut if you don't do it." And that was the thing too. He would use like stupid ass threats like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get a haircut if you don't do this for me. Oh, I'm not gonna do that if you don't do this for me." So he lived with his grandparents. A little side note here. I ain't trying to give out like his personal business and shit. That's why I used a fake name anyway. But like his dad didn't live with him and his mom lived in the basement, but his grandparents like raised him and shit. So yeah, so his grandparents raised him, and yet he's treating them like shit, just like absolute shit, just yelling at them and not taking no for an answer. Like if I was in that situation, I would be kneeling down to my grandparents, bro, and I still do actually. Like they're really really great to me. They always have been, always will be. But regardless, he's still like yelling at them for like a whole like 10, 15 minutes. Like it was bad. I'm like, Drew, do you want me to just get it for you, like so we can get out of here? Cause I'm embarrassed, since mind you, this is our local Walmart, and I know people that work at and shop at this Walmart. So I'm just like, bro, like don't embarrass me, bro. Like please, for the love of God, do not embarrass me. And then he was like, no, it has to be her. Blah blah blah. And then like another 5 minutes goes by of them arguing on the phone, all that shit. And then his grandmother finally clicks. His grandmother's like, fine, fine, fine. Here's $10, all that. Just get home, all that stuff. So I drop him off, and I'll never forget. His grandmother was like waiting at the door, and his grandmother was like, so you happy about what you did? And I shit you not. And mind you, she's outside. I think she was like bringing the dog outside or something like that. I forget exactly. But I shit you not. He yells to his grandmother, Nana, shut the fuck up. And she just takes it. She literally just takes it. Like, she didn't, like, yell at him or tell him to stop. None of that. Nah. She just took it. There were so many different times I'd be on the phone with him or I'd be at his house and he'd do this and his grandmother would always just take it. I'm like, what the fuck? Alright, so now that you guys know what his anger was like a little bit more, you'll see like how like pissy he would get at me over small shit, like this story coming up. So around that same summer, I was close friends with this girl. She went to my town school. She was a couple years younger than me. We're just gonna call her Renee. So yeah, I've known Renee for most of my life. Like when I was in fourth grade, she was in second grade, and I met her through there. And then we just kind of kept in contact. And then Snapchat became a thing, Facebook, all that, and we weren't super close until like 2018, 2019. But you know, we had each other on social media and shit. But I remember like back in like October 2018 thereabouts, I kind of hit her up like, "Yo, I'm just trying to get to know you and shit." And then she was like, "Well, I only really see you as a friend, but we can be friends." And I was like, "Okay, sure." Like I wasn't even asking her out. I was just saying I want to get to know you, but whatever. But you know, I get to know Renee and she's pretty cool. But fast forward to summer of 2019, I decided to hang out with both Renee and Drew at the same time. And now Drew was the type of person that just couldn't stay single. So like when I first met Drew, he was dating this girl. We'll just call her Audrey. So he was dating this Audrey girl for like the first few months that I met him. Then once him and Audrey broke up, he was like constantly fucking asking me, "Oh, do you have a girl that's single? Do you got a girl that's single?" And every time I answer, be like, "No, dude, no, dude, I don't. Like, I don't talk to no bitches, bro. Trust me. I just be chilling with my boys, minding my own business." And he was like, "Dude, like if you get somebody, let me know." And I'd be like, "Okay," but like I never fucking did. But like I said, we're fast forwarding now to like August 2019 thereabouts. I decide, you know what? I'll hang out with both Renee and Drew, cause why not? So we all hang out, and Drew is doing everything in his power to show off to Renee. Like Renee was driving the two of us in her car, and this motherfucker rolls down the window and yells out the window like to these random people like walking their dog or something. Like, "Hey, go fuck yourself!" And Renee thinks it's the funniest thing ever. I was like, "Bro, like you're trying way too hard." But come to find out, Renee was into that kind of stuff. She liked like the douchebag guy that vapes, smokes weed, all that shit kind of guy. That's just the kind of girl she was, and that's totally fine. Like you like who you like. I ain't judging, but what I am judging is when you're trying to show off on purpose, trying to be Mr. Comedy, acting like you're the funniest guy in the fucking world. When you're not. You're just not. I'm gonna be real. You're just not. But this goes on for a little bit. Like I would hang out with the two of them at some point, like at the same time. But then I get a text from Drew, And he's like, oh, guess what I'm doing? And he had this friend, we'll just call him Adam, that he was good friends. Like, oh, you and Adam are doing some stupid shit. It's him and Adam would always go out and do weird shit. Like, I remember one time they did like a burnout on like one of their local high schools football fields or one of their middle schools. I don't know. It was something like that. I don't remember. Then he's like, oh no, dude, I'm hanging out just me and Renee. Since I was working that day, and I'm not gonna lie, that pissed me off a little. I'm like, dude, I didn't introduce you to my girl best friend for you to like go hang out with her and shit. And he was like, dude, relax, it's fine. And I was like, all right, whatever, fine. Since it wasn't that big of a deal at the end of the day, I was like, fine, whatever. But then I get a text from Renee, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta talk to you about something." And I'm like, "Oh, what is it?" So she FaceTimes me, and her and Drew are both in the car, and they're just telling me like how much fun they're having and shit. I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's great, that's cool." But fast forward to like a week later, they start like casually dating in a way. And right there, I'm like, dude, like, I didn't introduce you to her to, like, date my girl best friend, like I said a few minutes ago. And he was like, dude, you're a pussy, bro. Just relax. And mind you, this kid's 21, and the girl's, like, 17. That's kind of, bad. That's really bad, actually, in my opinion. I know some people like, actually, Marston, 17's age of consent. No, 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 bro. It's 18 or up, bro. That's it. I don't fuck with that age of consent bullshit. Me personally, I won't date anybody younger than 21. I want a girl that can, gamble and drink, all that shit. 21 plus for me. But that's just me. Alright, I'm getting distracted. So, anyway, he's like, dude, just don't be a pussy. It's not a big deal, all that. I'm like, alright, whatever, fine. I'm not going to argue. It's not worth my argument. And they would start small shit with me. Like, I remember, God rest her soul, my Nana passed away around that point, and I was supposed to hang out with them. But I was like, I literally can't. My Nana literally just passed. And Drew's anger would go more towards me, way more than it was towards his grandmother or anybody else. And he would make Renee act like this. Like, him and Renee would team up on me on things like that. Like, I had my Nana's wake and shit. And they would just be like, why aren't you hanging out with us? Why aren't you skipping it? I'm like, dude, 'cause it's my dead grandmother. And they would just freak the fuck out at me over small shit. I was like, bro, like, this is fucking stupid, dude. It really, really is. So I basically just told him, dude, fuck off. I don't care what you think. I'm supporting my family, my father, because it was my dad's mom, my father, everybody else in his family. Like, they need my support right now. And if you can't understand that, dude, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. And then he was like, dude, I'll see you at work Monday. We're going to have a talk. I'm like, I just laughed. I was like, okay, sure. Go ahead. So I see him at work on Monday. And he's like, so, do you want to tell me why you were being rude to me and Renee by not hanging out with us, ignoring us? I'm like, dude, I didn't fucking ignore you. I told you to fuck off because I'm spending time with my family after my grandmother just died. It's called having some respect, not that you would have that. And then he got really like aggressive towards me at this point. He was like, bro, you want to fucking go? I'm like, no, dude, I'm good. I'm more than good. And that particular day, he was like, all right, whatever, fine, I don't care. But then about a week later, I'm just texting Renee casually, just about how school was, because she was still in high school at the time, all that, and I was asking her how it was. And then Drew sends me a text saying, dude, stop hitting up my girl. I'm going to get the cops on you if you don't. But I texted Renee, like, do you want me to stop texting you? Because if you just want to focus on Drew, I totally understand. And she was like, what are you talking about? And I knew deep down she was playing this dumb game with me. She's like, oh no, he's just being stupid, all that. But she would do this thing where she would mention him in front of me and like ask me questions about him. Like as a setup, knowing that he was on the other line of the phone or knowing that he was hiding somewhere. I'll tell a separate story of a time when he was secretly hiding at a pizza place. That's a whole separate video. But a couple days later, he comes up to me and he was like, dude, what did I tell you about texting Renee? I'm like, dude, she's my friend too. And then he's like, bro, I will fucking fight you if you don't stop texting her. I'm like, dude, go the fuck ahead. We are literally at work where there's cameras. Get your ass fired, dude. Like, don't be fucking stupid. Now, I should have gone to like the manager and said something, but I ain't no snitch. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Only time I'd be telling on you is if you're feeling really down, like mentally. Like if you're having bad mental health, and I'm gonna say something, obviously. I wanna make sure you're good. But like if you're just, threatening to beat me up or if you're doing some stupid shit, I ain't gonna say anything, bro. I do stupid shit all the time too. It's life, bro. But anyway, he continues and continues, like, for like the next 5 minutes. Basically saying that he'll fight me, all that. But then one of our fellow cart pushers, that's I should have probably mentioned that way earlier, that I was a cart pusher, like a lot attendant. One of the other lot attendants comes outside and sees all this. And just for the sake of the story, we're just gonna call him Matt. Matt comes outside and is like, what are you doing? Why are you talking to him like that? And Drew tells him to shut the fuck up and said that he'll beat him up too, all that. And then Matt goes inside of the store. The manager comes outside, and the manager's like, so, what's going on? And Drew's giving me that death look, like, oh, if you say something, I'm gonna beat you up and shit. And to be honest, I wasn't trying to get my ass kicked, but at this point, I didn't care. I just wanted him to get the fuck out of my face. So I said, he's threatened to beat me up over a girl that he's dating, the girl I introduced him to, all that. And he's like, Drew, is that true? He's like, no, it's not true. And Matt's like, yeah, he was saying that shit to him. So the manager calls Drew into the office. And here's what pisses me this is what pisses me the fuck off to this day. So they put him in the office, they gave him a lecture, and they only suspended him. They suspended him for like a few days. Since that's what some companies do until they like figure out what's really going on when they investigate, they'll suspend you. And if they think you deserve to be fired, they'll fire you. But they think you only deserve the suspension, they'll suspend you. It was with pay too. They suspended him for like 3-4 days. And I was like, oh, is he getting fired? Is he getting fired? And I see him pull up the next day. His grandmother drops him off. And he's like, look, man, I'm sorry. And right there, I was like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? So after that whole sequence, I decided to just quit. Like I put in the 2-week notice, obviously. I'm not gonna just quit on the spot. I ended up working at a different grocery store instead, which was a lot better, which I'll tell a story about that store probably soon. And the funny thing was, he kept that job for a couple months. I remember I was going to Burger King with Aaron and this kid I used to be friends with. We'll just call him Zach. So me, Aaron, and Zach are at Burger King. We were going to see, ironically, we were going over to Dylan's house, the kid from the edible story. And lo and behold, Renee and Drew walk into Burger King since the Burger King was right next to my groceries. I mean, my hardware store I worked at, excuse me. And he clears his throat like, want to explain what you're doing here? And then I was like, dude, just leave me alone. All that's up harassing me. I was like, bro, how does he still have a job here? But give that another month. I find out from Matt, the kid that was defending me, when he was ripping into me, when Drew was ripping into me, he got fired. And the funny thing was, it wasn't for his anger or anything like that. It's because of attendance. Since he would always call out and hang out with Renee and just go on dates and shit. And I was like, that's going to catch up to you. And he told me to shut the fuck up and shit. Every time I tell him that, I'm like, alright, whatever. Come to find out, he got fired. So I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. So he'll get fired over attendance, but suspended over threatening me. Like, that's kind of crazy if you ask me. But yeah, that's the story of how my coworker tried to fight me over a girl. Before I go, I will say this. I guess the lesson I learned, whatever you want to call it, is that don't introduce your friends to each other. Just keep your friends to yourself. Especially if it's a girl. Just don't introduce your girl best friend to your boys. It's a terrible idea. I made that huge mistake over here with that. This probably would have all been avoided if I had just kept it to myself. And people like, oh, you're being selfish. Oh, why are you acting like that? Just be like, fuck you. I don't care. And just enjoy life. Alright, guys. I will be back for another video later. I'm probably going to either do one of how I took my boy's cousin to prom. Or, maybe one of my first car. I'll figure it out. Alright, guys. For now, peace.